Tesla has seen both its stock price and sales plummet in recent months. Both supporters and critics say the brand is suffering.
Beginning in 2025, its sales kind of stagnated. Some competition, more competition from other people trying to get in the business.
The automotive industry is currently on fire. CEOs are at war, and this time around, the iconic Elon Musk is on the front row. Elon Musk is allegedly enraged that the two powerful CEOs of BYD and Toyota mocked him publicly, rubbing his reputation in the dust. As a result, all hell has been let loose since Elon Musk discovered the clip, causing turbulence in the automotive industry. Will the automotive industry be able to bear the heat? What are the details of this Cold War, and how did it begin? Stick around as we find out. Tesla mortalized. Anyone who knows about Tesla will attest to its power, uniqueness, and invincibleness over the years in the automotive industry. Tesla long ago ruled alongside Elon Musk, its goal-driven CEO. The company is known to not only create and sell cars. Instead, they have been responsible for other serious things, such as shaping the conversations around the industry. This means that every tweet, promotion, or even outburst of Tesla was taken very seriously and even drove headlines. Tesla has long held the reputation of a pacer, bringing in groundbreaking and innovative ideas that the competition has to keep up with. At least, this was how everything was until recently, when Tesla's world began to crumble. But how did it all start? Let's talk about a recent event that seems to be changing everything. Tesla's recent problems can be traced to a recent report that wasn't favorable to the eyes and ears. The release of their first quarter 2025 report left many very disappointed. The report showed a magnificent drop in production and delivery, which dropped by 13% compared to last year. According to the report, there were just 336,000 vehicles delivered, which was a poor figure. Although the report did not mean anything was seriously wrong, its consequences were dire, as it soon made investors lose faith. The chaos happened against the backdrop of months of hype on the updated Model Y, which also didn't help. The recent report happened to be the first market decline since the pandemic. However, the response of investors to this was violent, as always. They responded by punishing the stock, and within just 2 days, Tesla's valuation had shed over $100 billion. The losses were huge, but things didn't end there. When Dan Ives, one of Tesla's most vocal supporters, commented, we got a clearer picture of what was happening. Dan did not hesitate to call the situation code red and slashed his price target by 43%. Ultimately, he gave a simple explanation of the situation. According to him, while Tesla was still the leader in the industry, it was still under siege. As a result, what used to be a tech stock with unlimited upside now had the look of a car company. It was what it was. However, we must note that the reason for the harsh reaction of investors didn't just come from the reports. Behind the scenes, other problems didn't sit well with investors. One of these problems was Tesla's mode of operation, which was shifting. There were also complaints of production changes, supply chain pressure, and delays with the refresh of Model Y. Even when the refreshed version of Model Y, known internally as Juniper, launched, people complained that nothing was game-changing. The range was slightly improved with its cleaner designs, but that was it. There was also no revolutionary moment or innovative software to be proud of. It was as if Tesla was launching it to fulfill all righteousness without being excited about it. But that wasn't all. Amid all the trouble, Tesla also had problems with its autopilot features, which are still being heavily investigated in many countries. As a result, Tesla has had to limit some of these features as it combated all rounds of doubt. On top of that, there were also problems with the profit margin. Despite reducing the prices of their luxurious cars to accommodate more patronage, the sales still failed to match expectations, thus putting the company in a financial crisis. Another major problem that impacted investors' recent decisions was that Tesla's CEO, Musk, seemed distracted. Amidst all the chaos, he continues ranting on X about public feuds and politics, causing investors to fear that his attention has been spread too thin. There have even been rumors of advocacy for a new CEO for Tesla. As this continued, it was clear that investors were losing faith and confidence in the company. Tesla, which was once known to navigate the thin line between visionary and volatile gracefully, was now losing as volatility defeats its vision. These challenges have become major problems for Tesla in recent times, but nothing beats the recent problems that Tesla now has with the competition. As Tesla is battling internal struggles, the competition seems to rise with a sense of urgency and is now catching up. Imagine ruling an industry for years, and suddenly the competition decides that your regime is exhausted and come for you. That is what is currently happening with Tesla, and to make things worse, Tesla's competition also happens to be industry giants. As a matter of fact, one of Tesla's biggest rivals has just unveiled a global plan that seems to be gaining attention really fast and is threatening to leave Tesla displaced. That competition is none other than BYD. Now, let's talk about BYD's recent feats and alleged attack on Elon Musk. BYD overtaking Tesla. While Tesla is slowing down, BYD is speeding up, and they're not looking back. Amid all the chaos at Tesla, BYD seems to be doing everything right, and it might even be using Tesla's struggles as a chance to rise. Thus, as the game gets intense, BYD is not just catching up anymore, but might actually be pulling ahead. So let's talk about BYD. BYD stands for Build Your Dreams, and it is a Chinese car and battery company. It's been around for a while, but it's made huge moves in the electric vehicle space over the past few years. What makes it different is how focused it is on clean energy. It believes in a future where cars run on electricity, not gas, and it's working hard to make that future happen faster. While Tesla has recently dealt with bad reports, delays, and distractions, BYD has built more cars, opened more factories, and won more customers. In fact, just recently, they passed Tesla in global EV sales for the first time. That's a big deal. Tesla was number one for years, and now BYD is at the top. They're also doing something that Tesla hasn't done, offering more affordable electric cars for everyday people. Their cars aren't just for the rich. This has helped BYD gain a massive following in China and in other growing markets like Southeast Asia, South America, and even parts of Europe. With this, it is fair to say that BYD is expanding fast and will not slow down anytime soon. Another key reason BYD is rising so quickly is its control over battery production. Unlike Tesla, which often depends on outside companies for batteries, BYD makes its own. This gives them an edge because it saves money and avoids delays. In the EV world, whoever controls the battery often controls the market. But it's not just about business. There's a bit of drama too. Recently, a top BYD executive made a comment that many people think was aimed directly at Elon Musk. Without mentioning Musk's name, he said, "Real innovation doesn't need constant noise." That one line sparked tons of talk online. People saw it as a jab at Musk, who was known for tweeting and stirring controversy often. This quiet but bold attitude from BYD is making waves. But they're not just shouting, they're just working and winning. And this might be getting under Elon's skin. But BYD is not the only one who seems to be getting on Elon Musk's nerves. Let's talk about Toyota, which seems to be doing worse. Toyota rise against Tesla. While Tesla has been busy with its internal problems recently, and even with BYD also making waves, another old Tesla rival seems to be doing something iconic in the background. But Toyota has always been a subtle power, boasting no flashy headlines, no loud tweets, and no teasing new ideas 5 years early. However, their silent work behind the scenes is hard to ignore. In early April 2025, a quiet report from Japan revealed something surprising. Toyota was going full speed into electric vehicles. They weren't just dipping their toes, but jumping in hard. According to the report, Toyota plans to release 15 new electric models by 2027 and sell 1 million EVs annually. They're building factories in the US, Thailand, and Argentina to make that possible. The goal is to reduce delays, avoid supply chain issues, and get cars to people faster. But what shocked people most wasn't the number of cars. It was how little noise Toyota made while doing all this. No grand events, no meme-worthy tweets, no one-liner headlines, just quiet, strategic action. Even their marketing reflects this style. When they launched the new 2025 Toyota 4Runner, there wasn't a loud, over-the-top message. The tagline, "Your window to the wild," shows Toyota's ability to mix modern performance with old-school reliability. But behind that calm image, something bigger was brewing. Something tremendous happened during CES 2025, the world's biggest tech event. In a surprise appearance, Toyota's chairman and former CEO, Akio Toyoda, walked up to the stage to make a presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president and CEO of Toyota Motor Corporation, Akio Toyoda.
Although people expected him to talk about cars, he didn't. Instead, Toyota spoke about space. He introduced Toyota's investment in Interstellar Technologies, a private Japanese space tech company. The room went silent. Then he dropped a line that made headlines everywhere. "We are exploring rockets because the future of mobility should not be limited to just Earth, or just one car company for that matter." It was a bold statement. He didn't mention Elon Musk or SpaceX, but it was clear who he meant, and people noticed. Then came the joke that took things even further. Here, Toyota stated that while others built entertainment systems on wheels, Toyota built cars that people could rely on for 20 years. This sounded lighthearted but carried weight. Many have concluded it was a subtle dig at Tesla, known for flashy designs, constant updates, and features that don't always work perfectly. That joke hit home for a company like Toyota, which has always focused on quality and dependability. This moment at CES marked a shift. Usually cautious with its words, Toyota had just taken a public shot. It wasn't angry, it wasn't dramatic, but it was clear, and it sparked conversations everywhere. According to Inside Whispers, Toyota never saw Tesla as a real threat. Tesla was more of a tech stunt than a car company to them. But they never said that until recently with Toyota's bold statement. To back up its quiet confidence, Toyota seems to be moving fast. Toyota isn't just making electric cars for itself, it's also working with other car companies, licensing their solid-state battery technology, which many believe is the future of EV power. This makes Toyota more than a car maker. It has become a key supplier. Imagine a future where Tesla has to buy battery tech from Toyota. That would be like Apple needing parts from Nokia, which is likely a significant shift. So, how has Elon Musk responded to the jabbing so far? The answer would amaze you. So far, Elon Musk hasn't said anything directly. He's still active on X, formerly Twitter, posting about AI, space, technology, and politics. But this silence doesn't mean he's ignoring Toyota or BYD. Elon is known to not usually let comments like this slide, especially not from companies like Toyota. Before all this, Musk had very strong opinions about Toyota, once calling their hybrid strategy a joke. He dismissed traditional supercar makers like BYD, saying they were irrelevant. These statements sank deep back then, seemingly putting the rivals in their place. But now, things have changed. The companies Elon once laughed at are now clapping back, and they're doing it publicly in speeches, interviews, and even memes. Today, the recent development has become something people talk about over coffee, in presentations, and at industry events. Here, nothing gets ignored because the car industry runs on more than just numbers. It runs on perception, reputation, and trust. Still, no one knows how Tesla will respond. Will Elon fight back with a bold move? Will he laugh it off? Or will he surprise everyone, like he has so many times before? What do you think about Toyota and BYD statements? Focus on new energy vehicles, electric cars. Although China has always been known to rank highly among the countries with a solid economy, Its economic development has been reported in recent times to have slowed down. This decrease has led to a drop in the country's mainland growth and raises the risk that its economy will become ensnared in a middle-income trap. Since mainland China relinquished its zero-COVID policy at the end of 2022, economic recovery has been uneven amongst the different sectors of the country, with all of them making attempts to get back on their feet. The sectors hit hardest by the zero-COVID measures have rebounded fast.
Retail sales and factory output in China slumped to two-year lows in April, while unemployment climbed to two-year highs. The new figures show the growing economic damage wrought by the country's ongoing COVID-19 lockdowns.
Whereas segments of the economy that functioned relatively normally under pandemic controls have rebounded quite slowly. The hospitality, real estate industries, and transportation industries were the worst hit by the pandemic controls or regular crackdowns, incurring massive losses and downtime. However, recent studies have showed that these industries have also experienced the biggest recoveries within the service sector.
So we had this problem with unemployment as well rising. And the figures are the worst in 2 years. But when you think about it, 2 years ago was also pandemic related, so really these are the worst since they've been records in China.
Most especially the transportation industry. Here's how it happened. With the country's economy facing a decline, China has been counting on high-tech products to help revive its flagging economy. Its domestic car industry, which has grown rapidly over the past 2 decades with the production of fuel-powered vehicles, made a decision to venture into a new type of car production, new energy vehicles. These new energy vehicles, NEVs, which include battery-only and hybrid-powered cars, have been the buzz in the country with brands in the domestic car industry such as BYD Auto, aiming to come out on top with the production of improved new energy vehicles. BYD Auto, which is the main automotive subsidiary and brand of BYD Company, a publicly listed Chinese multinational manufacturing company.
Chinese automaker BYD has opened its first electric vehicle plant in Thailand as part of the company's push to expand its reach into Southeast Asian markets.
Focuses on the manufacture of passenger battery electric vehicles, BEVs, and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, PHEVs, collectively known as new energy vehicles. With these new inventions, BYD, along with other car brands, have begun moving into international markets, prompting fears from other car brands that feel their own companies will be unable to compete with the cheaper prices affiliated with these new energy vehicles. But how did these changes happen? Let's find out. Before it fully ventured into the field of electric cars, China's car industry was in an awkward position. It was a powerhouse in manufacturing traditional internal combustion cars that were fuel-powered, but there were no domestic brands that could one day rival the foreign makers dominating the market of new energy vehicles. This pushed the Chinese government to break away from the established technology and invest in completely new territory, cars powered entirely by batteries. The risks were extremely high. At this point, electric vehicles were only niche experiments made by brands like General Motors or Toyota, which usually discontinued them after just a few years. But the potential reward was a big one, an edge for China in what could be a significant slice of the auto industry. Plus, for China, the creation of electric cars also had the potential to solve several other major problems, like curbing the country's severe air pollution, reducing its reliance on imported oil, and helping to rebuild the economy. It seemed like a win-win for Beijing, and so China started considering making the switch to battery-powered cars with clean technology in mind, amongst other things. While the manufacturing of electric vehicles involved a different technology, it still required the cooperation of the existing auto supply chain, and China had a relatively good one. The manufacturing capabilities and cheap commodities that sustained its gas car factories could also be shifted to support its new venture, new energy vehicles. Not long after the decision was made to establish electric cars as a part of new energy vehicles, the country began handing out financial subsidies to EV companies for producing buses, taxis, or cars for individual consumers. In no time, sales of electric cars skyrocketed to over 500 EVs being sold in China to consumers in the country. And in a recent study, it was revealed that out of every 7 cars bought in China, 6 are electric. This high success rate pooled in money from different sources into the domestic car industry, which meant companies like BYD could afford to keep spending to improve their models and better their products. It also meant consumers could spend less to get an electric car of their own, which was the right move to make with the country's economy experiencing a decline. With all these changes being implemented, Chinese automakers have now been recorded to account for more than half of the electric vehicles, EVs, produced in the world. And as they build scale, cost advantages, and expertise, speculation is fast rising that Chinese EV brands will eventually flood the global market as the need for electric cars keep rising over the roof. This brings us to the very interesting part of this video. The most important part of an electric vehicle is the battery cells, which can make up about 40% of the cost of a vehicle. And the most important factor in making an EV that's commercially viable is a battery that's powerful and reliable, yet still affordable, which is something the Chinese capitalized on. Chinese companies championed lithium iron phosphate batteries, known as LFP technology, as opposed to the lithium nickel manganese cobalt, NMC batteries, that were much more popular in the West. These LFP batteries have been revealed to be safer and cheaper, but initially they weren't the top choice in cars because they used to have much lower energy density and perform poorly in low temperatures. But while others were ditching LFP technology, a few Chinese battery companies, like contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, (CATL), spent a decade researching them and managed to narrow the energy density gap. Today, the EV industry is once again recognizing the benefits of LFP batteries purely down to the innovation within Chinese cell makers, bringing Chinese EV battery companies to the front line. China has also had one key advantage in battery manufacturing. It controls a lot of the necessary materials. While the country doesn't necessarily have the most natural resources for battery materials, it has the majority of the refinery capacity in the world when it comes to critical components like cobalt, nickel sulfate, lithium hydroxide, and graphite. As a result of all this, China now has an outsized domestic demand for EVs, and according to a survey from the U.S. consulting company Alix Partners, over 50% of Chinese respondents were considering battery electric vehicles as their next car. Such an astounding number consisting of the highest proportion in the world and 2 times the global average, all but shows how innovative electric cars have grown to be and how much China has risen to the top because of it. Automakers in China are now putting in extra efforts to build a new generation of bigger, more technologically advanced and competitive electric cars. With these sets of huge dreams, China seems to be threatening to leap further ahead of their global rivals as they step up exports around the world.
The idea that electric vehicles would make up a significant portion of all cars on our streets was something for the future. Then China came along and thrust the future upon us now.
The dozens of car companies operating in China plan to manufacture new battery electric models, with these models having taller hoods for a bolder appearance and more storage space. The cars have been reported to have bigger tires that improve braking, seats that are thicker and more comfortable, with batteries that are smaller, more powerful, and quicker to recharge. The changes are aimed at making the cars even more appealing for customers in China and more competitive to the market abroad, pushing the country up the ranks in the car market. In an interview dating back a few years before China started to dominate the car market, Elon Musk, CEO of automotive company Tesla Incorporated, expressed his lack of worry regarding BYD, which was producing new energy vehicles in China, posing a significant challenge in the electric vehicle, EV, sector. Recently, Musk was asked to name the toughest competitor he had in the EV sector, and his reply was, "Some company out of China," which was his way of shamefully admitting BYD now posed a threat to him. Musk aside, Chinese EV car companies, especially BYD, have started threatening and dethroning Western EV companies. BYD has surpassed Tesla in the last quarter 2024 as top-selling electric car seller, confirming how Chinese companies are dominating the electric vehicle market worldwide. In no time, along with plug-in hybrid cars, these battery electric cars will most likely take sales away from gasoline-powered cars and their manufacturers. But it doesn't end there. China is also moving ahead with the technology and regulations for self-driving cars to come into the mix with electric cars. The Chinese government was recorded to have approved data security arrangements for more capable autonomous vehicles, which will run along with the battery-powered electric cars. The Chinese autonomous driving industry boasts a well-developed industrial chain and advanced technologies, and upon entering the global market, Chinese self-driving solutions can quickly hit the ground in destination countries. This rapid development of Chinese domestic automakers has paved the way for autonomous driving companies to expand their global presence, but also within the country. Across China, 16 or more cities have allowed companies to test driverless vehicles on public roads.
The Chinese city of Shenzhen is bringing the country's driverless car dreams to life. Starting today, such vehicles will be allowed to operate without anyone in the driving seat in large parts of the city.
And at least 19 Chinese automakers and their suppliers are competing to establish global leadership in the field. The government is also providing the companies significant help in their pursuit of global recognition, which will in turn help China greatly. In addition to cities designating on-road testing areas for robot taxis, censors are limiting online discussion of safety incidents and crashes to restrain public fears about the nascent technology. Another reason for China's lead in the development of driverless cars is its strict and ever-tightening control of data. Chinese companies set up crucial research facilities in the United States and Europe and sent the results back home. But any research in China is not allowed to leave the country. As a result, it proves to be difficult for foreign car makers to use what they learn in China for cars they sell in other countries. This has helped China retain a front-row seat in all the action involving the manufacture and development of these self-driving cars. What a smart move. China has also approved cars from Tesla, the American electric vehicle company that also builds and sells cars in China, as well as 5 Chinese manufacturers, including BYD, Tesla's principal global rival, and NIO, a longtime player in China's auto sector. Each of these companies contributes to the competitive and dynamic nature of the EV industry.
In this particular video, we are going to be showing you the most interesting cars from the Chinese brands here at the show,
driving advancements in technology, infrastructure, and consumer adoption. The competitive edge of Chinese EV companies is the result of a multifaceted strategy that combines governmental support, market scale, rapid innovation, and strategic global positioning. As the global EV market continues to evolve, these strengths position Chinese companies well for continued growth and international competition. BYD at the forefront is working to improve the public and government awareness in China, as well as other countries and cities around the world, on the potential benefits from the development and expansion of the EV industry. But what about the other types of new energy vehicles? Let's dive deeper into this. Exploring China's hybrid-powered cars. China's automotive industry statistics recently showed an interesting twist for the nation's biggest manufacturers, with hybrid-powered cars gaining more popularity amongst the citizens. Plug-in hybrid cars were reported to be winning the hearts of consumers over pure electric vehicles, EVs.
Where it makes a lot of sense that maybe for most people a hybrid is actually the best option.
As drivers seek to overcome range anxiety and costs, Chinese consumers are now more cautious in their spending, leading to anemic gains in retail sales in the post-pandemic recovery years. Hybrid cars, which have been seen to be more economical to many young first-time car buyers, have now become a surprise beneficiary of an economic slowdown. These hybrid cars, which can run a short distance on battery and switch to fuel for longer drives, now account for almost half of new EV sales, with several producers revving up development and production to meet growing demand. The plug-in hybrid category includes vehicles with extended range technology, with a small internal combustion engine that generates additional power to charge the battery when needed. These cars, known as BEVs or battery electric vehicles, are about 10% cheaper than pure EVs, electric vehicles. BEVs also enjoy government incentives, including a waiver on 10% consumption tax and subsidies for replacing petrol-powered cars as part of Beijing's push towards its long-term clean energy and net zero target. Aside from the country's goals, the BEV has been viewed by citizens without cars to most likely be their first choice in the future due to their range anxiety, along with the BYD's amazing features like ultra-fast charging and ability to use battery swap technologies. However, that is not all the BV can do. Some hybrid models offered by car makers have chimed with consumers because of their prices and long driving ranges, ratcheting up pressure on traditional makers like Volkswagen and General Motors. A significant shift is also underway in China's automotive market, as more and more consumers are opting for hybrid vehicles over pure electric cars. The trend is driven by a combination of factors, including range anxiety, cost considerations, and the economic challenges facing many buyers. This change in consumer behavior is reflected in the latest statistics from the China Passenger Car Association, CPCA, which reveal that nearly half of the new electric vehicle (EV) sales in the country as of late have been hybrids. Keeping up with the trend, BYD, the world's best-selling EV assembler situated in China, has unveiled a new and improved version of its plug-in hybrid technology to encourage the adoption of electric cars amongst consumers. The Chin-L and Seal 06, two of BYD's improved models fitted with the dual-mode technology, can go as far as 2,100 kilometers on a single charge with a full tank of petrol. The batteries used to power the basic versions of the hybrid-powered cars offer a driving range of up to only 80 kilometers. According to BYD, fuel consumption when the hybrid car's batteries are depleted is a record low 2.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more.